How's it going, everybody? My name is Artorigold, and today I want to talk about Tracer. What? But you're already Tracer? Okay, the meme's dead. The meme's dead. I officially say it. The meme's dead. No more. Anyways, you need a lot of game knowledge and game sense to really utilize Tracer to the best of your ability, and game mechanics are also a very big part of what you need to do in order to get the kills. So, with that being said, I'm going to talk about how to play Tracer. First off, at the beginning, you should probably flank. As you can see in the beginning, I'm kind of taking this longer route, just going around to the left. There's 3 different ways you could probably play this on this map. You have number 1, you can go straight ahead at this guy, or you can go number 2 or number 3. So on the left side, you can go around here and get on that side. And the third way is a little bit more dangerous because you get this little, I don't know what this thing is right here, but you have this little wall over here, and the enemy team is going to be probably right here because the door is right here. So if you try to go around number 3, it's very dangerous and likely you'll run into somebody in melee range. And going route number 2, which is a longer way, but because you travel really quickly, it's definitely the best way to go without being seen, and it gives you a chance to jump on somebody. So in those cases, yeah, number 2 is probably the best. So always keep in mind your flank routes. Whenever you're playing Tracer, have a plan to engage as well as a plan to escape. You need to know where to go in from because that's where you're going to have the most of your capabilities. And as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm not engaging right away. So as you can see, there is an Ana. I do see the Ana, right? You see her right there. And I know that she's there, and she's busy, and she's trying to heal people, but my team still hasn't really moved forward, and that's largely in part because we have an Orisa. She takes kind of a lot more setup and a lot more time in order to do that. And one of the biggest things about Tracer, and I think I've covered it in a video before, is that before you engage, you want to wait for blinks. As you can see, I just get my second blink back. It's right here, it's like all lit up, so I'm just getting the second blink. So waiting for your third blink is ideal. I have my recall, so that's no problem. But I do need to wait for the enemy team to get more distracted by my team. Otherwise, they're all just gonna turn around and deal with me, and then I have a lot less time in order to get my kill. So that's another big thing to take into consideration. You want your team to kind of engage with them, and that's exactly what I'm waiting to do. I'm giving some time for some things to happen, and then I'm going to go in. I also do some crouch movements, which is a big thing about Tracer. If you use your crouch movements, it allows it so you aren't really heard by the enemy team. But at the same time, unlike other heroes, you don't really make a whole lot of noise, so you can get away with just spamming crouch, which is a lot quicker and easier to do than to just go in there and hold down crouch and walk the whole way crouched, which takes a lot more time and effort to do so. So here, I would say I didn't really do that much damage in that fight. I would say I did more of a distraction play. Being Tracer can be really annoying for the enemy team, and not only do you apply a good amount of pressure to the backline because it demands that they deal with you or else you're able to get that free kill, you also are able to just kind of distract them. For example, I could go in there and go out and I get the enemy team just really annoyed with me and make it so they aren't able to like really focus on the things that they're able to focus on. And that way you're kind of more like a aggro Lucio, like you're very disruptive. Like the enemy team is going to try to deal with you, but at the same time you have such an easy time disengaging with your blinks and your recall that no matter what you do, that you're going to demand their attention because you're going to be applying damage to their supports. Pulse Bomb, by the way, should always be used on a support. It is a little bit more difficult to try and use Pulse Bomb on a Brig, but it is possible to go behind her shield and do a nice little flick with the Pulse Bomb on her and then recall out of there before she even stuns you. And with the nerfs on Brig on the PTR and the way that she's probably going to be, it's probably going to be best for you to... I mean, she's not going to threaten you as much as she threatens you right now, because right now she can one-shot you with the combo, right? And that's kind of a big issue. But in the future, on the PTR, I don't think you'll have to worry about it. It's not going to be a big deal. Even if you get stunned by a Brig, her damage combo is what, like 110, I think is the damage on it right now. So you shouldn't have to worry about it at all. I mean, if it's a really good Brig, she's gonna ruin your day, and you're not gonna be able to do anything. Then she's gonna give people armor and save them from any, one-shots or one-clips rather, and then she's also gonna have her ult, which is gonna make your damage just a lot lower. So you do need to take that into consideration. Make sure to swap off Tracer if there is a Brig just really screwing you up, but I do think that it is possible for you to outplay a Brig, and it's going to be even easier once Brig has her nerfs on live, because right now on the PTR we are seeing some pretty good nerfs. Harmony Orb is really good, and Discord Orb is really good for Tracer. I should have blinked out of the way of that one. Now I'm sleeping on the job, and I deserve that death because I had a blink available and I didn't do it even though I saw the sleep dart. As Tracer, you want to be up close and personal because that's where your damage is going to be. If you're trying to shoot like chip damage really far away, I mean, that's okay for maybe building an ultimate, but it might not be worth it because what it could do instead is it could make the enemy aware of your presence, which is something that you don't want to have happen. You don't want people to be aware of you. You want to be able to get behind someone and be able to just kind of one-clip them before they're even able to do anything, and that's the big power of Tracer. If you try to go and give yourself away by shooting at them from really far away, then you're going to have a really rough time getting that one clip in. You do need to get as close as possible in order to do the most damage with Tracer, and that way you kind of operate like a much more mobile and much more dangerous and elusive Reaper, and you want to keep that in mind. So one thing you want to do whenever you have a pulse bomb is you want to try and flank and get onto an easy target, someone that's not going to be able to stop it. For example, an Ana. You just get right in there, you stick her, and then you get back into the action. And I want to talk more about the movement. So normally if you're trying to sneak up on someone, you just hold down crouch and you crouch walk. But some characters make more noise than others, and Tracer, watch this, you don't have to hold down a full crouch walk. You just need to do short little bursts of the crouch, and that's the best way to do it because you don't make a whole lot of noise. She's not going to hear you, and you move a lot faster than if you were to just hold down crouch walk that entire time. So keep that into consideration. So one thing to deal with Brigs is that you really can apply pressure to their shields, and you can kind of do damage to them and force them to look at you and not do anything else, which can be a pretty decent use of your time, but also it could be a pretty big waste. You really need to evaluate if this is the right thing for me to do in this time. I could sit here and I hold down left click against a Brig holding her shield up all day long. That's something I could do as Tracer, but do I want to do that? Is something else better for me to shoot at, something else that demands my attention? In that situation, we got the pulse bomb off on the Ana, so they only had one healer, which was the Brig. So I do think it was okay to pressure the Brig, because the more time that she's not meleeing somebody is more time that she's not doing any healing, because that's what she needs in order to activate her passive. So when dealing with Anas, well, and with squishy characters in general, they do have a chance to beat you if they land a sleep dart or Zenyatta Discord headshots, right? There are things that can kill you, but if you're good enough at being elusive, you won't have to worry about it too much. So here, going for the pulse bomb on the shield can get a Brig killed. You have to make sure that it's just not on the very front part of it. Doing damage to tanks is rather difficult. Big nano boost. By the way, I don't highly recommend nano boosting a Tracer, but it's not the worst thing in the world. If you have a really good Tracer, I mean, you might as well go for it, especially if you're able to just clutch the point, something like that, where you kind of need to because the enemy has 93%. So you have to make sure that they're not able to get it. But as you can see as Tracer, this entire game, I'm just bullying Ana. Like, that's all that my job is. That's what I'm doing. I mean, that's exactly what a flanker wants to do. You want to bully the backline. You want to bully the supports. You don't want to sit here and shoot at a Reinhardt shield. You want to get behind the Reinhardt shield. You want to deal damage to the people behind him. You want to try and be elusive. For, like, example right there, the enemy Ana tries to hit me with the grenade. And that's a pretty big cooldown, and she just hits nobody. See right there? She just hits nobody with it. I mean, that's kind of devastating. She's just going to throw her nade over here at nothing, trying to hit me, which won't even do anything, because even if I do get hit by a nade, I can just recall, and the effects of the nade go away. So it's not a big deal. That's another thing about Tracer. You can bait out enemy abilities. For example, you can get an Ana to waste her sleep dart, waste her nade, and bam, now she can't use the nade on her team, or your team, which has the most value, because your team, if the tanks get purple, that's devastating, and if her team gets the healing buff, that's insanely good for them. Because she wastes it here, zero value out of this ability, and it just goes on cooldown, and she's not going to have it for this fight at all. And then I'm able to just apply pressure to her or the Brig and make sure that they're not able to do anything because their abilities are gone. So that's a big thing about Tracer too. If you're playing a distraction Tracer, you do really well at baiting out abilities. You can blink forward and blink backwards really quickly in succession, which is a pretty basic and easy movement thing to do as Tracer, which can bait out their abilities, and it doesn't have to commit any resources other than 2 blinks, which isn't too much considering you have your recall and a 3rd blink available, and it should bait out the enemy abilities to the point where it makes it more valuable. So even if you don't get the Pulse Bomb stuck on someone, you can still kill them. So keep that in mind. You can get the kill with the Pulse Bomb if you just get it kind of near them. So maybe you could flick it and flick it in the direction that might help you out. Either way, I'm not much of a Tracer player myself, but I do think I know the basics, and I can get the basics down to a level which I hope you guys can use to help you more with the game knowledge and game awareness and what your goals are on Tracer in the first place, because if you don't have a plan with Tracer, then you're just going to get punished extremely easily, and that's not something that you want to have happen. In general, I definitely recommend maybe swapping if there is a Brig on the enemy team who is just unkillable, because in that case, then you're just not doing that much as Tracer. Armor is really hard for a Tracer to deal with. The damage reduction just makes it so your bullets do like next to nothing, right? So you got to take that into consideration. Don't stay on Tracer if the enemy team is running Goats either. Goats is, you don't have enough damage output for Goats. I mean, maybe if you're just a god at Tracer and you can kill all the supports, but it's kind of unlikely. Goats is a very difficult team comp to deal with, so I would keep that in mind. And also, if the enemy team has a Pharah, if you're not able to kill the Pharah as Tracer, then that's also a good time to swap to maybe a hit scan. There's a lot of things out there that make it so Tracer isn't as valuable, and in those situations it would be better to swap, but sometimes you can make the most of it, and you can make Tracer work, but it is a lot more time and effort to do so, and you have to really evaluate, is this worth it? I'm trying to climb, I'm trying to gain SR here. Is it worth trying to waste this time on Tracer in an unfavorable situation when I could swap to a different character and probably have a much easier time getting kills? So anyways guys, that's all I have for today. I just wanted to kind of go over a quick Tracer video for you. Hopefully you enjoyed it, hopefully you learned a thing or two. Anyways guys, I'll see you guys next time.